There is a war happening right now. Not a war fought with weapons and armies, but one that rages silently, invisibly, every single day inside your mind. This war determines who you become, what you achieve, and whether you live a life of fulfillment or regret. It is the invisible war that builds or breaks your destiny. Most people never realize they are fighting it. They think their greatest enemies are outside of them. Competition, bad luck, unfair breaks. But the truth is, the greatest enemy or greatest ally you will ever have is your own focus. Focus is the front line of this war. Win that battle and your goals will fall into your hands. Lose it and you will drift through life, always starting, never finishing, always wishing, never becoming. Focus is the ability to hold your attention on what matters most, even when the world is screaming for you to look away. It is the skill of shutting out distractions and pouring your energy into the one thing that moves you forward. And in a world of endless noise, focus has become rare. But rare things are valuable, and if you master it, focus will become your unfair advantage. Think about your goals for a moment. How many times have you set them with excitement, only to find yourself drifting away weeks or months later? It wasn't because the goal was impossible. It wasn't because you weren't smart enough or talented enough. It was because your focus was hijacked. Your energy was scattered in 1,000 directions, and scattered energy produces weak results. The mind, like the sun, can burn through steel when concentrated, but it is harmless when its light is spread too thin. If you want to achieve anything great, you must learn to direct your mind like a laser, not toward everything, but toward one clear, definite aim. This is where the invisible war begins, between the clarity of your purpose and the constant pull of distraction. The moment you decide to focus on your goal, life will test you. Your phone will ring. Opportunities that look tempting but pull you away will appear. People will demand your attention for things that have nothing to do with your vision. Every day, the world will try to divide your mind, because a divided mind cannot conquer anything. But here's the truth you must understand: success is not built by what you do occasionally. It is built by what you do consistently, every single day, in alignment with your focus. Every distraction you entertain weakens your momentum. Every excuse you make pushes your finish line further away. And every moment you choose to protect your focus is a step toward victory in this invisible war. There is a discipline to focus. It is not something you wake up with. It is something you train. Just like a muscle, focus grows stronger the more you use it. You train it by saying no to things that do not serve your goal. You train it by setting boundaries with people who pull you away from your purpose. You train it by working when you feel like quitting, by showing up when no one is watching, by giving your best when you think no one will notice. The power of focus is that it transforms time into results. You can waste years chasing too many things, but with focus, you can compress years of progress into months. This is why two people can work equally hard, yet one achieves extraordinary results while the other stays average. The difference is not in effort. It is in direction. One is sprinting toward a target. The other is running in circles. The invisible war is fought in the little choices you make every day. Do you scroll endlessly on your phone, or do you use that time to take one more step toward your dream? Do you say yes to every invitation, or do you protect your schedule so you can build what matters? Do you let your emotions control your actions, or do you stay committed to the plan you made when your mind was clear? Every time you choose focus over distraction, you win a battle. Every time you choose to stay on the path instead of chasing something shiny and new, you win again. And with enough small victories, you win the war. Focus also requires clarity. You cannot concentrate on something vague. You must define your goal with precision. What exactly do you want to achieve? When will you achieve it by? What steps will you take every day to move closer? Without this clarity, your mind will wander. Your energy will leak. Your motivation will fade. But when you have a crystal clear target, your mind locks onto it like a guided missile, filtering out everything that doesn't lead to it. Many people think they lack motivation, but they really lack focus. Motivation rises and falls like a tide. Focus is the anchor that keeps you moving forward even when you don't feel like it. When your focus is strong, you keep going when motivation disappears. You follow through when it's hard. You push through boredom, resistance, and fatigue because you are locked in on something bigger than your temporary feelings. To build focus, You must also eliminate mental clutter. This means closing open loops in your mind, unfinished tasks, unresolved problems, scattered commitment. Each of these things pulls a piece of your attention away from what matters. The more you clear them, the sharper your focus becomes. There will be times when the war feels endless. You will feel the pull of old habits, the temptation to take the easy path, the frustration of slow progress. In those moments, remember that the greatest rewards always come to those who stay in the fight. Your focus is like a blade. It becomes sharper with every moment you resist the pull of distraction. When you protect your focus, you protect your future. The world is full of people who started strong but lost their way because they allowed their attention to be stolen. They chased too many things, tried to please too many people, and ended up scattered and exhausted. But those who hold their focus, who choose depth over breadth, who give themselves fully to a single great aim, those are the ones who leave their mark. Understand this, the war will never truly end. Even when you achieve one goal, there will be a temptation to drift before choosing the next. But with each victory, you become stronger. Your ability to focus grows. Your resistance to distraction increases. And you become the kind of person who not only sets great goals, but achieves them again and again. Your destiny is shaped in silence, in the unseen moments when you choose to stay on the path. No one may applaud you for skipping the distraction, for turning down the noise, for putting in the work. But every choice adds up. Every focused day builds upon the last until, one day, you look around and realize you are living the life you once only imagined. So I challenge you, declare war on distraction. Guard your focus as if your future depends on it, because it does. Decide what you truly want, write it down, and make it the center of your attention every single day. Remove the things that pull you away. Surround yourself with people and environments that strengthen your commitment, and then keep going. Because when you win the invisible war of focus, you win in every other area of life. Your goals stop being wishes and start becoming realities. Your work stops being scattered effort and starts becoming concentrated power. And your destiny, your true highest potential, begins to unfold before you. The invisible war that builds or breaks your destiny is happening right now. The question is, will you let distraction win? Or will you choose the power of focus and fight until your goals are no longer dreams, but memories of what you have already achieved? The choice is yours, and so is the victory. Your greatest battle is not against competitors, but against the distractions fighting for your attention. We live in a time when more opportunities exist than ever before, but also more distractions than any generation in history. You are surrounded by constant noise, notifications, opinions, trends, requests, temptations, and endless shiny objects promising instant gratification. And yet, the people who rise to the top, the people who achieve extraordinary success, are rarely the most talented, the most educated, or the most connected. They are the ones who win this invisible battle, the battle for their focus. Your competitors cannot truly beat you unless you beat yourself first. And the way most people lose is not by being outperformed. It is by being distracted. They set a course for their goals, and before long they are pulled into something else. An idea, an opportunity, a problem, a shortcut. They change direction so often that they never build the momentum to achieve mastery in anything. They start, stop, change, and restart until years have passed and they are no closer to their original vision. The truth is, you will never lose to the person who stays in their lane, works on their craft, and focuses relentlessly on their purpose, unless you give them the advantage by abandoning your own lane. Most people do this without even realizing it. They wake up in the morning intending to work on something important, but before they know it, they've spent hours scrolling through meaningless content, answering unimportant messages, or chasing small, low-value tasks that make them feel productive but move them nowhere. This is why the greatest battle you will ever fight is not with the market, not with other businesses, not even with external challenges. It's with the constant, unrelenting pull to divide your attention. Because divided attention leads to divided results. You cannot pour your energy into 10 directions and expect to dominate in any of them. The people you see achieving great things are not necessarily smarter. They are simply more ruthless about protecting their attention. They understand that focus is a finite resource, and once it's scattered, the day is lost. They guard it the way a warrior guards their weapon. knowing it is their most valuable tool in battle. Every time you get distracted, every time you let your attention be stolen, you weaken your position. Think of it like a leak in a water tank. You can't fill it if you're constantly letting the water drip out. Your energy, your creativity, your drive, it all drains away each time you shift your attention to something irrelevant. Distraction comes in many forms. Sometimes it's obvious. The endless entertainment, the gossip, the drama, the pointless arguments online. But sometimes it's disguised as opportunity. That's the dangerous kind. The business offer that doesn't align with your purpose. The partnership that looks appealing but pulls you off your main track. The side project that excites you but delays the real work that would actually move you toward your ultimate vision. It takes wisdom to see through these distractions because they will feel productive in the moment. But the question you must always ask is, does this bring me closer to my true goal? Or is it just movement without progress? Every champion knows that winning is about endurance and consistency. It's about doing the right things over and over for as long as it takes. Distraction breaks that chain. It resets your progress. It turns a straight road into a maze. And before you know it, the weeks turn into months, the months into years, and your dream is still just a dream. Imagine if every hour you've ever wasted on distractions had been spent sharpening your skills, building your vision, and taking deliberate steps toward your goal. Where would you be right now? How much further ahead would you stand? The painful truth is, the gap between where you are and where you want to be is not always talent or opportunity. It is focus. Your competitors might be working hard, but if you give them the advantage of your distraction, they will pass you without breaking a sweat. The real competition is not them. It's the version of yourself that keeps getting pulled off course. If you could eliminate 80% of the things that waste your attention, you would accelerate faster than you ever thought possible. The irony is that distraction is easier to fight when it's obvious. The real war is against the subtle distractions, the ones that seem harmless or even useful. The constant checking of your phone for no reason, the half-hour break that turns into a lost afternoon, the unnecessary meeting, the quick look at the news that leads to an hour of reading things that have no impact on your life. You must develop the ability to recognize when your attention is being stolen. This is a skill, and like all skills, it improves with practice. Ask yourself throughout the day, is this the best use of my focus right now? If the answer is no, walk away from it immediately. Discipline is the weapon that wins this battle. Discipline to say no when everyone else says yes. Discipline to work when everyone else is relaxing. Discipline to protect your mornings, your energy, your creative hours from the claws of distraction. You see, success doesn't just come from working hard. It comes from working hard on the right things at the right times without letting yourself be pulled away. Hard work in the wrong direction is just well-disguised procrastination. Your mind is your greatest asset. When it is locked in on a single goal, nothing can stop it. But when it is scattered, even the smallest obstacles can throw you off balance. This is why the greatest victories happen inside your head before they ever show up in the real world. If you can win the mental battle against distraction, you will win the physical battle against competitors without much struggle. Think of a professional athlete. They may have rivals on the field, but their biggest challenge is not the opponent. It is maintaining focus during training, staying disciplined with diet, avoiding lifestyle choices that destroy performance. The real fight is in the quiet hours, when no one is watching. That is when they either build themselves into champions or slowly lose the edge. You are no different. Your destiny is built in the moments when you choose to stay on track despite the temptation to drift. Every day you stay focused. You build a wall between you and the wasted life you could have lived. Every time you resist distraction, you gain an advantage that compounds over time. Distraction is a thief that works slowly. It won't take your goals all at once. It will take them piece by piece. 10 minutes here, an hour there, a lost afternoon, a wasted week. You won't notice until you realize the year is over, and you are still in the same place. That's why you must treat it as the enemy from the start. Your attention is the currency of achievement. Spend it wisely. Invest it in the things that grow your future, not in the things that keep you stuck. Every moment you give to distraction is a moment you never get back. Every moment you give to focus is an investment that will return to you multiplied. The truth is, most people will lose this battle. They will be too comfortable, too careless, too easily entertained. They will never experience the full power of sustained focus because they never practice it long enough to see its rewards. But the few who do, the few who choose to guard their attention as if their life depends on it, will create results that seem impossible to everyone else. You do not need to outwork the entire world. You simply need to outfocus it. That is enough to put you ahead of 90% of people, because while they are chasing 10 different things, you are building one thing with all your energy, all your time, all your heart. That is the secret. That is the difference maker. That is why your greatest battle is not against competitors, but against the distractions fighting for your attention. Because once you master your focus, the competitors will no longer matter. Clarity is the foundation of focus. Define your goal or lose the war before it begins. Imagine trying to hit a target you cannot see. You draw back the bow, you release the arrow, and it flies into the void. You do not know where it landed. You cannot measure progress because you do not know where the bullseye is. That is how most people live their lives. They are constantly busy, constantly in motion, constantly firing arrows into the air, but they have never stopped to clearly define where the target is. And so they drift from task to task, year to year, without ever truly knowing if they are moving closer to what they want or simply spinning in circles. The truth is simple but often ignored. You cannot focus on what you have not defined. You cannot direct your time, your energy, or your effort toward a goal that has no shape, no edges, no boundaries. Clarity is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the first, most important step in the pursuit of anything worthwhile. Without it, focus collapses. Without it, motivation fades. Without it, even the most disciplined effort becomes scattered and ineffective. When you have clarity, something powerful happens. Your mind knows exactly where to go. Your decisions become easier. Your priorities arrange themselves naturally. You stop chasing everything that looks interesting and start pursuing only what matters most. Clarity filters out noise. It acts like a lens that sharpens everything in your field of vision. Without that lens, your focus is blurred. You see too much, hear too much, feel pulled in too many directions. And in the end, your energy is divided into fragments too small to move anything forward. Think of clarity as the blueprint for your destiny. No builder begins construction without a blueprint. Without it, every piece of material is wasted, every hour of work is directionless, and the final result is chaos. But when the blueprint is clear, every beam, every nail, every brick is placed with intention. The builder does not waste time wondering where the wall should go. He already knows. In the same way, your life must be built with a clear plan, a clear definition of where you are going, and a vivid picture of what the finished result looks like. Too many people confuse activity with achievement. They are always moving, but they are not moving toward anything specific. They set vague goals like, I want to be successful, or I want to be happy, or I want to be rich. But those words mean nothing until you define them for yourself. What does success look like to you? How will you measure happiness? How much money do you need to create the life you want? Without answers, your focus is like a flashlight with dead batteries, weak, unfocused, and ineffective. Clarity requires deep thinking. It requires you to pause and examine what you truly want, not what others expect from you, not what you think you should want, but what genuinely matters to your heart. This is why so few people have it. It is easier to keep moving than to stop and ask hard questions. It is easier to follow the crowd than to create your own map, but you must be willing to go deeper. You must be willing to strip away the noise and uncover the truth about what drives you, what excites you, and what you are willing to sacrifice for. When you define your goal, you give your mind a command. You tell it, this is the target. This is what we are aiming at. Nothing else matters until we get there. And the mind, when given a definite command, begins to work for you in ways you cannot imagine. It notices opportunities you would have missed. It connects ideas you would have overlooked. It generates solutions that seem to appear from nowhere. This is not magic. It is the power of a focused, clear mind. But if you fail to define your goal, your mind wanders. It gets distracted easily. It jumps from one idea to another, one project to another, one dream to another. It never builds momentum. It never achieves mastery. It becomes a restless traveler, visiting many places but never truly arriving anywhere. That is the war most people are losing. The war against vagueness, against uncertainty, against the pull of endless options. Clarity is also a source of courage. When you know exactly what you want, you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop hesitating. You move with conviction because every action is connected to a purpose you understand. You stop worrying about the opinions of others because your path is clear and you know why you are walking it. The man or woman with clarity is unshakable in the face of doubt because doubt only thrives in uncertainty. There is a reason great leaders, great entrepreneurs, great athletes, and great creators all speak with such certainty about their goals. They do not just hope for a general outcome. They see it in their minds in vivid detail. They know the exact number they want to reach, the exact record they want to break, the exact problem they want to solve. They have already defined it so clearly that they can describe it to you as if it already exists. And because they can see it so clearly, they can focus on it relentlessly. Clarity is the antidote to overwhelm. If you feel like you are drowning in responsibilities, it is often because you have not clearly defined what matters most. Without clarity, everything feels urgent, everything feels important, and you try to do it all. But with clarity, you see immediately which things deserve your focus and which can be ignored. You stop spreading yourself thin. You stop wasting energy on battles that don't move you toward your goal. Clarity also protects you from temptation. When you have a clear, definite goal, you can measure every decision against it. You can ask, will this bring me closer to my goal or pull me away from it? That question becomes a shield. It makes it easy to say no to distractions because you are saying yes to something bigger. Without that clarity, you are vulnerable to every shiny object, every passing opportunity, every detour disguised as progress. The process of defining your goal begins with asking the right questions. What exactly do I want? Why do I want it? What will my life look like when I achieve it? How will I measure progress? What am I willing to give up in order to make it happen? The more specific your answers, the sharper your focus becomes. Vague answers lead to vague actions. Specific answers lead to specific actions, and specific actions create real results. Once you define your goal, write it down. Keep it visible. Look at it every day. The act of writing it down is not a ritual. It is a declaration. It tells your subconscious mind, this is the direction we are moving. Repetition reinforces it. Every time you see it, you strengthen your commitment. Every time you speak it, you sharpen your belief. Clarity does not mean you know every step in advance. It means you know where you are going, even if the road is still hidden. You can adjust the route as you move forward, but you must lock in on the destination from the start. Without that fixed point, you will wander endlessly, taking turns based on impulse instead of intention. When you combine clarity with focus, you become unstoppable. Clarity tells you where to aim. Focus keeps you locked on the target until you hit it. Without clarity, focus is impossible. You cannot aim at everything at once. You must choose. You must commit. And you must be willing to let go of anything that does not lead you closer to what you have defined. Your goal should excite you and challenge you. It should be something you can visualize so vividly that you feel it in your bones. The clearer you see it in your mind, the more real it becomes to you, and the more your focus intensifies. You will start to notice that the things you use to give your attention to no longer interest you. Your energy naturally flows toward the goal because your mind has been trained to seek it out. But clarity requires honesty. You cannot define your goal based on what will impress others or what seems practical but uninspiring. You must define it based on what will truly fulfill you. Otherwise, you may focus intensely for years only to arrive at a destination that leaves you empty. That is the tragedy of success without self-awareness. You win the race only to realize you were running in the wrong direction. This is why the war for clarity comes before the war for focus. Focus without clarity is like speed without direction. You can move quickly, but you will not arrive where you want to be. You must win the first war before you can fight the second. And winning the first war means being willing to slow down, think deeply, and commit to a goal that is worth every ounce of your energy. The moment you define your goal with precision, you shift from wandering to targeting. You shift from reacting to directing. You shift from hoping to deciding. That shift is the beginning of power, because now your mind, your energy, and your actions can work together instead of scattering in different directions. Clarity is the starting line of achievement. It is the map, the compass, and the destination all in one. Without it, you cannot focus. Without focus, you cannot build momentum. Without momentum, you cannot win. That is why defining your goal is not optional. It is the first, most important move you will ever make in the pursuit of your destiny. When you define your goal clearly, it becomes a force that shapes your decisions, your habits, and your environment. You begin to organize your life around it. You start cutting away anything that does not belong. You stop apologizing for protecting your time. You stop feeling guilty for saying no, because you understand now that every yes to something unimportant is a no to what truly matters. Clarity will demand sacrifices. It will demand that you give up comfort, distractions, and sometimes even relationships that pull you off course. But it will give you something far greater in return, the ability to focus all of your power on one thing until it bends to your will. And that is the essence of winning any war. Discipline is the weapon that keeps your focus sharp when motivation fades. Motivation is a beautiful thing. It's the spark that gets you started. It's that rush of energy you feel when a new idea lights up your imagination. It's the excitement of setting a goal and picturing the future you want. But motivation, as powerful as it is also unpredictable. It comes and goes. It rises and falls. One day you feel unstoppable. The next day you feel like you can't take another step. If you build your life, your work, and your dreams only on the unstable foundation of motivation, you will always move in fits and starts. You will start projects but rarely finish them. You will feel inspired one week and drained the next. You will live in cycles of excitement followed by disappointment. Motivation is a firework. It bursts bright for a moment and then disappears into the night sky. Discipline is different. Discipline is the slow, steady flame that never goes out. It is the habit of doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's the decision to show up whether you're in the mood or not. Discipline doesn't depend on feelings. Discipline depends on choice. And that's why discipline is the weapon that keeps your focus sharp when motivation fades. When you set a goal, there will always come a point when the initial excitement wears off. The work will become routine. The challenges will get harder. The results will come slower than you hoped. That's the moment most people quit, not because the goal was impossible, but because they relied on motivation to carry them through the hard parts. Motivation will start the race, but discipline will finish it. Think of your focus like a blade. When you're motivated, that blade feels razor sharp. You're ready to cut through any obstacle. But as days pass, distractions appear, doubt creeps in, fatigue sets in, and the blade begins to dull. Without discipline, that blade becomes useless. But with discipline, you keep sharpening it, day after day, no matter how you feel. You keep your focus deadly precise, ready to slice through the noise, the excuses, and the temptations. Discipline is built in the little moments, the moments that seem small, but are actually massive turning points in disguise. It's when the alarm clock rings early in the morning and you feel the urge to stay in bed, but you get up anyway. It's when you've had a long day and you want to skip your workout, but you train anyway. It's when you're tempted to take a day off from your business, but you choose to work on that one important task anyway. Every time you do something you don't feel like doing, but you know needs to be done, you are training your discipline. And the stronger your discipline becomes, the less you rely on motivation to move you forward. This is the reason the most successful people in any field are not the most motivated. They are the most disciplined. Motivation makes you feel good. Discipline makes you unstoppable. Motivation asks, do I feel like doing this right now? Discipline says, it doesn't matter how I feel. This is who I am and what I do. Motivation is based on emotion. Discipline is based on identity. When you start to see yourself as a disciplined person, your actions follow naturally. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop making decisions based on moods. You stop letting every little change in feeling control your life. This is also why discipline and focus are inseparable. Focus is your ability to direct all your energy toward one goal without being pulled away. But distractions are relentless, and when your motivation drops, distractions look even more appealing. Discipline is what keeps you from turning your head. It's what keeps your eyes locked on the target. It's what makes you keep working when every part of you is tempted to drift. When you rely only on motivation, Your focus is like a flashlight beam in a storm. It flickers, it wavers, it fades when the wind picks up. But when you add discipline, your focus becomes like a laser, precise, unwavering, and powerful enough to cut through the toughest challenges. People often think discipline is about sacrifice. In truth, discipline is about investment. Every time you practice discipline, you are investing in your future self. You are making deposits into the bank of results. You are creating a version of yourself who can be trusted to deliver, no matter the conditions. The beauty of discipline is that it compounds. At first, it's hard. You'll fight with yourself. You'll want to quit. You'll feel resistance in every step. But over time, discipline becomes habit, and habit becomes second nature. When you do something every day without fail, it becomes easier to do than not to do. That's the point where discipline becomes part of your identity. Discipline also builds self-respect. Every time you follow through on a commitment you made to yourself, you prove that your word matters. You strengthen the trust you have in yourself. And when you trust yourself, your confidence skyrockets. That confidence then feeds your focus, making it even easier to stay on track. Understand this: the world is full of people who are highly motivated for short bursts, but very few are disciplined for the long haul. That's why there's so much competition at the start of any journey, and so little at the end. Most people drop out along the way because their fuel tank was filled with motivation instead of discipline. If you build your life on discipline, you don't run out of fuel. You become the fuel. Discipline also frees you from one of the greatest enemies of focus: decision fatigue. When you are disciplined, you don't spend your days wondering whether you should work on your goal or not. You've already decided. It's not up for debate. The energy you save from not making that decision every day is energy you can pour into doing the actual work. Some people think discipline means living a rigid, joyless life. But in truth, discipline creates freedom. When you are disciplined with your time, your habits, and your actions, you free yourself from chaos and regret. You free yourself from the stress of last-minute scrambling. You free yourself from the guilt of knowing you could have done more. Discipline is not a prison. It is the key that unlocks the life you truly want. There will be days when your motivation is high, and those days will feel easy. But the real test of your commitment will come on the days when your motivation is nowhere to be found. Those are the days discipline steps in like a soldier standing guard over your dreams. Discipline says, I don't care how you feel. We keep going. We do what we said we would do. It's important to remember that discipline is not just about working hard. It's also about working smart. It's about prioritizing the tasks that matter most and letting go of the ones that don't. It's about being strategic with your focus so that your energy is spent on things that bring you closer to your goal, not things that simply keep you busy. If you want to sharpen your discipline, start with small commitments and build from there. It might be as simple as committing to reading 10 pages of a book every day, exercising for 20 minutes, or waking up at the same time each morning. These small acts of discipline create a chain reaction that spills into other areas of your life. Once you see yourself following through in one area, you'll start following through in others. And remember, discipline doesn't mean perfection. You will slip up. You will have off days. But discipline is about what you do next. Do you spiral into guilt and give up, or do you get back on track the very next day? The most disciplined people in the world are not perfect. They are simply relentless about returning to their path after every setback. Discipline is what carries you through the boring days, the frustrating days, the days when progress is invisible. Those are the days that break most people, but they are also the days that forge champions. Because anyone can work hard when they feel like it. The ones who win are the ones who work hard, especially when they don't feel like it. The truth is, motivation will always be a visitor in your life. It will show up now and then, and when it does, it's a gift. But discipline must be a permanent resident. Discipline must be the constant presence that holds your vision steady, sharpens your focus, and keeps you moving forward no matter the weather. Motivation whispers, maybe I'll try. Discipline declares, I will do it. Motivation is the flame at the start of the torch. Discipline is the hand that carries it through the darkness, through the wind, through the rain, until the finish line is in sight